the driver knows where the police station is. So he pulls into the police station with the passengers so they can report to the police that the armed robbers on the highway robbing. And then the police told them that the armed robbers are doing their jobs on the highway. And they are here at the police station doing their jobs. That as long as the two jobs don't interfere, that they can keep doing their job, they'll focus on their jobs. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Lost Negotiations. I'm your host, Brother Mike. I just wanted to quickly share something that happened recently to me. So I'm out here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm by the Ikeja Mobology Bank Anthony Way. So those of you that are familiar with the Ikeja, just around where the Sheraton Hotel is located. And I wanted to go out for a stroll as well as use my ATM card to withdraw some cash. Now, granted, there's an ATM located at Sheraton. Sheraton is a hotel in Lagos, Nigeria, for those of you that don't know. So I was just, again, trying to go out for a walk as well as get some cash from my ATM. So I'm heading out and the security guard just told me, Oga, you can't go out though. I was not like, why can't I go out? He said, well, it's too early to go out. This is just past 5 in the morning on a weekday. Okay, it's 5 in the morning. Why can't I go? It's like, oh yeah. Then he says, oh, there are bad boys on the streets. So in my mind, personally as a bona fide Lagosian, I was like, what do you mean bad boys? You know, because if anything happens, obviously I'll try and defend myself. But I think what he was trying to get at was that it's too early to go out. And that's something that made me thinking, because I've been out of Lagos up until very recently. But out of Lagos, I mean somewhere in the southwest, Nigeria. And I noticed that once it's night, it's quiet. Like Nigeria stops at night, which is something that I'm not used to. And a lot of listeners that are out in diaspora, you're probably not used to that either, whereby at night the city goes to bed. Most cities, or actually all of Nigeria at night goes to bed. So Nigeria opens at about 6 a.m. and then right around, depends on what part of the country you're in, right around 10 p.m. the country practically shuts down. If you're on the island, maybe midnight. So in essence, it's an 18-hour country. And that 18-hour, it depends on what part of the country you are. Most parts actually go to bed sooner. Oh, and by the way, do not quote me on that. I think it depends on what part of the country you are in. And this episode is, I want to be careful. So it's just an opinion. I don't know everything. I'm just sharing my opinion. And the same applies to every episode of Lost Lagosians. They are all opinion based. Just try to pick information, bits and pieces as you seem appropriate, because I'm just sharing my opinion. So, like I was saying when I was in Southwest Nigeria recently, it just dawned on me that, oh wow, so at night the country shuts down. Practically everything shuts down, which again, you know, it's something that I've not been used to, haven't been out of Nigeria for so long. Once you have been out of the country for so long, and if you've been living at a big city like New York City, for example, the city that never sleeps, you might be shocked that you can't do certain things you used to do or certain things you like to do once in Nigeria. And it's important to highlight the insecurity situation and the safety elements as well, whereby you just can't go out whenever you want. Like I was trying to do at Sheraton, trying to go out at 5 a.m. Some people do exercises in the morning. Some people actually walk overnight. But in that scenario, you need to make sure you're within an estate where there's security. You need to make sure you are in a place that is safe, because safety is a major concern in Nigeria. So for me, I was just a little bit taken aback, because I just thought I could just go out like I normally do when I'm not in the country, but you just can't do that. And that's what the security guard was letting me know. New York, for example, is a city that never sleeps, because there are numerous establishments within the city that operate throughout the night. Okay, take for example the New York subway. The subway actually never closed. Well, maybe because of the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, the subway system in New York actually never closed. Chicago is another place I can think of. Also, there are numerous restaurants, there are buses, the train. I mean, some of them actually operate until dawn. And even cities that are not 24 hours, within the UK even, or Canada, or Germany, they open at about 3 a.m. Like, they close for like 2 hours. So a lot of them close about 1 a.m. Then they open at 3 just for shift changes. The Staten Island Ferry is another one that's operation throughout the whole day and throughout the whole night for like week upon week. Like they never actually sleep. For the Staten Island Ferry, boats are leaving every 15 minutes or sometimes every 20 minutes. Especially during peak hour, and then off peak is doing every 30 minutes. Even in New York, the metro, the bus. So if you look at a city like New York City, it's 8.5 million, the population of New York City, and Lagos is 15.3 million. So Lagos is just about twice in terms of population the size of New York City. So it makes me wonder: is it because we are overpopulated that we can't operate 24 hours, or is it just the insecurity situation? No matter what hour, most parts of the world never sleeps, especially the capital cities. I won't say most part of the world. Although New York is referred to as a city that never sleeps due to the fact that there's life around the city, no matter what hour. Yeah, because there's just life all the time. There's late nights, there's clubs, there are eateries, there's public transportation like I talked about earlier, and that just makes the city have this vibrant feel. I've lived in New York before, so I can speak about New York. I've lived in Chicago, I can speak for Chicago as well. So if you consider that to something like Lagos or even Abuja or Port Harcourt, part of the problems is just the insecurity situation. That's one of the biggest culprit. Another one is electricity. As you guys know, Nigeria does not have constant power supply. When there's no electricity, there's darkness. Things like the street lights go out. Besides the street lights, the traffic lights as well. Those also stop working when there's no power. Granted, I'm driving in Nigeria and I know that even when there's power, they don't obey the traffic lights anyway, because not all the traffic lights work even when there's power. Although when there's a police present or a last man present, they follow the traffic lights. But once there's no last man present, who cares about the traffic lights? But you get my point. So while the traffic light might not be a good example, but the overall point is that power is needed to be able to power a 24-hour community or a 24-hour city. You need power so you can see at your homes. You need power so you can do things. Other than the excessive generation from generators, excessive noise from generators, which in other parts of the world, there's curfews after 10 p.m. Some places after 9 p.m. you can't make any noise. So that's another topic for another day. But power is necessary for a 24-hour society. So you have to drive in a knock. Then, once that happens, all kind of vices begin to, like armed robbers and stuff like that, kidnapping, different kind of things we cannot even begin to talk about goes on at night. So at night, it's when the evil comes out. The proverbial saying, the evil comes out at night. That happens in Nigeria. But if we can fix the security issue and then if we can fix the power issue, I think that will probably help that will help significantly. May God protect us all. Another thing also is the culture. Like the culture and the society is used to actually not working at night. Now, some people actually have night jobs. Not a majority of the population does, and those that do, maybe security guards or doctors or nurses that work in a clinic, or even factory operators if you work in the oil and gas, for example, offshore. So just to name a few, but those guys, they are closed in, so they go to work at 7 p.m. and then they don't step out till 7 a.m. That's the 12-hour shift. Now, in other parts of the world, you can go out during your break and drive around, get some food or something to eat. For that, you actually can go out, you can run errands. You can go maybe do things like buy grocery, for example. You can run a few errands, actually, which might happen during your shift. But the Nigerian night shift is such that once it's 8, 9, 10, the city goes to sleep, and if you're working indoors, you're already indoors and you can't go out. And the benefits include things like jobs. Imagine the country operated 24 hours, or if somewhere like Lagos was fully 24 hours, especially for the youths. They're strong, they can stay up all night, at least when they're in the 20s. Even those in college, they can work part-time off campus. So jobs is an example where people have the opportunity to work. More jobs can be provided. It's just an easy fix to unemployment. if the government can fix security, if the government can fix power, then more jobs can be established, more factories can be opened around 24 hours, and you create more jobs, which obviously helps the economy. Then, like I was talking about, the evil and the vices that come out at night, we can curb that if we're able to operate 24 hours. Things like armed robbery will be curbed or curtailed because people will be, it'd be like there was no night really, because at night things practically shut down. People at night always have like a pay differential because they're working at night, so you can make more money by picking a night shift versus a day shift. Now, for those that have family, they worked at night and they can have some time with their family. That way, parents are able to actually be around their kids. The other thing about night jobs is that they also have flexibility because you can work 3 days on, 4 days off. So again, you have more time for the family. You can do things like also going back to school. If there's a coursework or something you wanted to get completed online or have a side business, if that's what you're into, you'll be able to do that, which if you're working at night, it frees up your day to do that. Another thing is also competition and demand for the workforce, because working at night there's lower competition. If you do a night job, that job is not going to be very competitive because most people want to sleep at night. But if you're built for night, then you can be able to work at night and you have fewer competition. Night jobs are also slower pace, fewer meetings. It's kind of more quiet for you to do things that you want to do. The other thing I can think about is traffic. Traffic is a big thing in places like in Lagos. Traffic is huge, such that you can only go to certain places during certain hours, or you just can't go about where you want to go. You have to plan. So a lot of us are used to, okay, I'm going to go to point A, from point A to point B, and you just hit the road. But Nigeria is not somewhere you can do that because you just can't go from point A to point B. You need to plan it. Okay, I'm going to Lagos Island. Today is Wednesday, but I can't go today. If I wanted to go, I can go maybe on Saturday because on Friday there's bad traffic. So imagine how many things you have to put off because you can't go due to traffic. Another thing that comes to mind is regarding traveling. If you guys remember back in the 90s, you could travel at night. In fact, there was a night traveling industry that allows you to travel from different parts of Nigeria safely and securely. Of course, that was not a military era. But now, because of insecurity, you can't do that anymore. Because if you travel at night, you're at your own risk. So just take a bit of advice for folks. So if you're traveling to Nigeria, if you can, just make sure you have enough money to fly if you're going between different parts, because it's safer. And you do not want to be traveling at night in 2022 in Nigeria. A friend of mine was recently recanting to me his ordeal. They had traveled at night, and this was beginning to get into the early hours of the day. I think about 6 a.m., 7 a.m. ish. So they had taken a detour because the armed robbers were operating on the highway and they didn't want to have an encounter with them. So the driver took them through his rural village, and the driver knows where the police station is. So he pulls into the police station with the passengers so they can report to the police that the armed robbers on the highway robbing. And then the police, according to my friend, told them that the armed robbers are doing their jobs on the highway and they are here at the police station doing their jobs. That as long as the two jobs don't interfere, that they can keep doing their job, they'll focus on their jobs. This is not to say, well, Nigerian police, they're not doing the jobs. It's just to say do not travel at night because it's risky and it's unsafe. One other point that comes to mind is regarding industrialization. So let's say we are a country that make pencils. If we had just 2 shifts, or in the case of Nigeria, just 1 shift, and we make pencils from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is mostly the operating hours for Nigeria. Most companies do 8 to 5. I think banks might close at 4, but it depends on the bank. I'm not sure, or it depends on the part of the country. But if you have 1 shift and you're able to make 100 pencils in a shift, in theory, in a week, Monday through Friday, you make 500 pencils. But if you had a 24-hour operation, instead of making 500 pencils Monday through Friday, you can make 1,500 pencils, because then you'll be around the clock. So 500 times 3 is 1,005. If you include Saturdays and if you include Sundays, you're definitely going to be making a lot more pencils. What that does is I make the supply of pencils enormous, because then there's more pencils. So instead of having 500 pencils a week, like you do for just one shift. In Monday through Friday, 3 shifts, you're going to have 1,500. So if you include Saturday and Sunday, 300 pencils a day. So instead of making 500, we're going to be going up to 2,100. So by working 24 hours, you just quadruple your production of pencils. Ultimately, what that means is that pencils will be cheaper because you have so much supply of pencil. In this example, I'm only talking about local products that are made locally. That can help drive the price of things down because economics 101, demand and supply. When you have a lot of supply, the price tends to go down. The 24-hour operation definitely helps. So it's just not a fast go society. Granted, there are many cities that are smaller. There are many cities that are less populous. There are many cities that have less resources than we do. But they are 24 hours. So, for example, according to BBC, Cairo in Egypt, in 2011 was ranked the most 24-hour city in Africa. So that's just Cairo in Egypt. Another place is a place called Montevideo in Uruguay, and then Beirut in Lebanon. All within the context of the developing world. Now, it depends on what you mean by developing world. For the developed nations, we can understand that that's why they're developed nations. But I think it's fair to rank Nigeria with other countries in terms of countries that are its pair, in terms of development, population, and GDP. You have places like Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, Zaragoza, Buenos Aires in Argentina. That's another popular one. But these are cities that are smaller to Lagos, but they're 24 hours. We know the big ones like London, Paris, and like I've been talking about, New York City. So I guess just to summarize, being in Nigeria, you have to be prepared to do not go out at night for your own safety, actually. And also the expectations have to be a little bit curbed. If you're someone who's active and you plan to see people, or you plan to go around, you plan to move around, you kind of have to be planning to be shutting things down at about 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Now, granted, in the weekend, there's nightlife. So maybe Friday night or Saturday night. That is for those that are into nightlife and you're in Nigeria visiting for vacation and you just want to catch up with old friends just for old time sakes. But I won't even encourage that because there's armed robberies that goes on. Again, I should be promoting Nigerian, goodness. But just with me being in Nigeria when this has been recorded in 2022, it just makes me reevaluate some of my assumptions, because security is a big thing, safety is a big thing. It's safe, but after like 10 p.m., I would not recommend going out. So even if you are into nightlife, just make sure that you're by a hotel nearby, or you are with your friends and family who know the area, and you're not going too far. Because if you're going too far, then you run into some unknowns, because at night the country sleeps. And if you happen to be outside Lagos, it's even more quieter, which is a good thing. If that's where you're going to Nigeria, you want to see the stars. So you go to your backyard, you can look out and you see just the stars. There's no light pollution, and it's very, very quiet. So yes, go to Nigeria, go to Lagos, have fun, go to Abuja, but do not be out after night, after dark. Then come back again the next morning when everybody else is out. In fact, parts outside Lagos in particular, or outside Abuja, outside Port Harcourt, when you go to places like that, outside Benin City, you're going to discover how quiet it gets, and the night truly comes out. Obviously, there are people who believe, there's all kind of spirits and, the voodoo and all that stuff. But after night, it does get quiet. And while from an economic point of view, I think it would make sense for us to fix the security situation. I think it would make sense for us to fix the power situation. I think it would make sense for the government to encourage the economy by doing these things so that businesses can operate 24/7. Why that's important, I also think that as a traveler, as a visitor, you want to plan for that. I wasn't prepared for that. I just thought, it's 5 a.m. I kind of knew of it, but I was like, 5 is early enough. But the security guard just in Mobology Bank Anthony Way, just in a Ikeja, around Sheraton, and the guy's like, no, you can't go out. There are bad boys all over the place. I'm like, bad boys all over the place at 5 in the morning. I thought it's early again. But anyway, some people go to Nigeria to vacation and they just go and just relax and they sleep till 11 a.m. or noon. If you're that person, then maybe this episode might not apply. But if you're someone who likes to be up, to run, to exercise, or to just go about your day, or you're used to the Western life whereby there's no night and there's security everywhere, there's power, then you might be in for a bit of disappointment, because once it's getting dark, Lagos goes to sleep, and so does Nigeria. That's all I have for this episode. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Los Lagosians. Until next time, thanks for listening. This is Brother Mike signing out. Eko Nibajo.